What's up with it?
Yeah.
So
Whew.
with it, we in there.
Yup. We
Did
back.
I get my two-step in? Hey.
the Benji
I
old
mean,
man dance.
I mean, that's all you get.
Yeah, definitely. What up,
That's
y'all?
all you get from it.
We back. Another episode 127 for the kids. We talking about co-parenting today. Very happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? It's always a delight to come and do the show and talk to my peoples. Benji Banks, what's the deal, my guy?
What's going on, man? Man, listen, got a lot going on, man. You get what I'm saying? A lot.
Yeah.
When I say a lot, I mean a lot. But it's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like we ain't got our hands in a lot of drama and headaches and drama and all kind of weird stuff. We got our hands in some beneficial stuff. So we're making it work, man. You know what I'm saying? Uh School, work, grandbaby. Shout out to my grandbaby. She might not even be watching this show. I already know she ain't watching this show.
Yeah.
Shout out to my grandbaby. Tonight is, again, pretty special. You get what I'm saying? Because I had a chance to meet her. You know what I'm saying? Again for a birthday. So that's dope. That's dope. The boy's a G part now. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so what does your granddaughter call you? What is she gonna call you?
Man, she don't even know me like that yet.
What's what I'm saying? So what because people these days they don't want to be called grandma, whatever, grandma, grandpa, whatever like that. So they make up these names that they want to be called. So what's gonna be your cool grandpa name?
Oh no, you know what I'm saying? I gotta think of that. That's a good one. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, they call your boy Paw Paw and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're going to change the game and flip that a little bit. But
Yeah.
we're gonna come up with something cool, you know what I'm saying? Something a little bit, you know what I'm saying, more that fits the personality. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't like no old grandpa. You get what I'm saying? I'm still young, you know what I'm saying, in my pawpaw stage. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, I mean, all pawpaws were young at one point, so
right?
I mean, some people object to being called certain things. Like my youngest son calls me pops. You know what I'm saying? Like some people feel like that's an old name. I don't care what what he calls me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it didn't ever matter to me. It didn't ever, strike me as something that was weird or odd or, put off by it. So, I just embraced it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Cuz I love my kids. So, I don't care if he calls me pops, and when I get grandkids, if they call me pops, I'm cool with that too.
Right.
Like,
I mean, in this case, you know what I mean? I got to build up some rapport because my daughter was way up north for a while. So I didn't really get a chance to, kind of, set my mark. And plus, you know what I'm saying? Brother was a little sour at the time. So,
yeah.
y'all get a little confession on the show tonight. You know what I'm saying? You want your baby to not go out and have kids early. You get what I'm saying? Or whatever, whatever. So, it's like, man, not now. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That type of feeling. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really get a chance to connect with them. So, but it's a smart thing to be in your kids' lives and help be that stable and force. You get what I'm saying? So you know that all too well. So coming from our background, you know what I'm saying, you got some hurdles to overcome because you know what I'm saying, we be tripping a little bit in our minds about stuff like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be in that space to where you can see her and then like looking in her face and seeing your features, you know what I'm saying, as a Banks, it's hilarious, man. At first, it's like because you notice it because you know your features from your
Yeah.
family. It's like when you notice it off the top, and when she got all of this, you just sitting there like, oh shoot, like that's grandbaby, you know. So pretty cool thing, man. So got to continue that relationship with her and see how this thing work out.
Yeah, you got a lot of dopeness going on, man. You know, you got your new relationship and everything going popping for you. You know what I'm saying? You got your grandpa role popping for you. It's a good look, Benji out here. Benji out here with the love going on all kinds of ways. That's a good look for you, player.
I mean, man, we trying to listen, man. You know, you get in a certain space, man, when you've been, you know what I'm saying, in the spaces I've been in, certain stuff just become a turnoff. It's like,
Yeah,
man, you know what? I ain't even feeling that no more. So when you start disliking certain things, you get what I'm saying? Like you know, you want an exit, you want out. Like, man, I don't even want to do that no more. You get what I'm saying? So like to be in that space and then uh kind of navigating and turning in a different direction. I have to admit, if I hadn't turned in the relationship direction, I probably would have kept going in the same space I was going in terms of, you know, like whatever with the grandkid and the kid and all of that type of, because your mind is fixed on what you always been doing. We creatures
yeah,
of habit. So you're gonna always kind of stick in that little space. So but the relationship came out of nowhere. The the situation with the grandbaby that's been there, but never really, you know what I'm saying. You don't give it much attention, you know what I'm saying, because you out, you know what I'm saying, you solo, you out doing your thing. You get what I'm saying. So to put all of that in perspective, the to be in that healthy relationship space and listening to your lady, it just makes more sense. It's like, okay, well, that makes sense. Like, yeah, I probably should be doing that. Oh yeah,
yeah,
you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Especially if you're dealing with somebody, you know what I'm saying, a female who got good sense. You get what I'm saying? Like it just you can't help
yeah,
it.
yeah.
If you
You
got
need,
a good head on your shoulders, it's like, oh yeah, all right, I'll swallow my ego on this one. All right, what we doing?
yeah, you needed, you
You get
needed
what I'm
that
saying?
balance. You needed that balance.
Huh?
I said you needed somebody to come in and balance you.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I said this and I said this a couple weeks ago. So the best version of me is probably, you know what I'm saying. I'm solid solo, but best part of me is in a relationship. So
Yeah,
with somebody solid, not just anybody, because you know what I'm saying. Brother got goals, brother got things he's trying to accomplish, all of that, and to have somebody with intelligence, smarts, caring, you know, all of those types of things. You can't help but to glean from that. You get what I'm saying? So to be in that space is pretty dope. So
facts, facts, facts. Before we get started, we gotta mention that we know a lot of folks are watching the NBA playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
man,
Conference
you know
finals
what?
popping, and we know Benji's disappointed because his Celtics.
Hold on, Ken. Live update. Hold on. Before, because you know we're gonna be in the show. Hold on. Let's give me a live update on this. All right.
I don't even know why you want to do that to yourself.
Okay. Not bad. It's halftime. It's only 50 to 56. Miami is up by 6.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's
yeah.
not too bad. But my prediction for tonight was
12.
is it's gonna be a tough, scrappy game. Celtics finally gonna scrap it out,
No,
but they gonna lose because the coach is gonna cost them in the critical moments.
listen,
That's my prediction for tonight.
listen. It's gonna be a sweep. It's gonna be two sweeps in the conference finals, probably for the first time ever. Got to double check that. Got to fact check that.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
But
I don't have the Celtics winning tonight. They act like they don't know how to penetrate a zone, bro. Like I
and we're not gonna go too far into last night because boys are still hurt. But but
no. We gotta give them a little bit before we jump into the topic tonight. Come on.
but listen, man. The Lakers lost, and it was one of those endings to the game where, let's just be honest, even though LeBron is 38 in his 20th season in the league, he has the ball at the end of the game, and this is a defining moment, right? This, I don't care what situation you in, you got 40, You know what I'm saying? Like you've been balling. You got 40, 10, and 9.
Yeah,
Like you got the game on the line, hanging in the balance, balls in your hands. This is what a player dreams of, right?
facts.
You know what I'm saying? This is what superstars do at the end of games. They end it. You know what I'm saying? They win the game for their squad. You've had
Right,
a great game. The next step is to put the dagger in, send the game either into overtime or win the game.
right.
And he didn't do that.
You couldn't do it. No, them legs was done. Listen. LeBron is the type of player you can tell. All you gotta do is read his body language. You can tell when LeBron is like exhausted, tired, done. Like them old legs. Even though he was playing killer defense last night, though, especially in that second half, guarding Jokic. I believe Jokic actually only made like 2 total buckets on him when he was guarding him. So LeBron was and he was playing perimeter D on Murray last night. So
And
them legs was shot.
you
Went
see,
to the
just want to say,
huddle.
you see what
Everybody knew what was coming. You get LeBron the ball, he gonna want the game winning bucket. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, with all that being said, I picked the Nuggets to win. I just didn't know it was going to be a sweep, but hey, power to the Nuggets. And on top of that, what makes this even crazier is that bubble championship that the Lakers won when they faced the Nuggets. The Nuggets were balling in too, but I think Jamal Murray got hurt in that
got
series,
hurt.
if
Yep.
I'm correct, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
what kind of gave it to the Lakers because Jamal was balling in that series too. Jokic as well. Like they had a nice squad back then. So
Well, this Lakers team, they overachieved in my estimation, because a lot of people say, well, they were 8 seed. That's kind of like, a little misleading, because they were in an 8th seed spot for, first of all, because they were in the play in. You know what I'm saying? So they benefited from the play in, piece of the playoffs that they've added recently in the past few years.
because now you can get in the play in, and you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
get legs under you for that team who
And
was
another
assembled at
thing,
the trade deadline pretty much. I don't even think that squad played 20 games together.
well, that's what I'm saying though. You have a team that wasn't healthy most of the year and was playing with a different squad. Went to the trade deadline. They got better in the trade deadline, and then they got a little bit more healthy. So you're not looking at the team that had the terrible record earlier. You're looking at a totally different
Totally
team.
different squad.
Yeah. So the fact that they were able to go to the playoffs and compete, I'm not surprised at that at all.
Right. Because they
Right.
had some cheap, decent pieces. So Hachimura, say what you want. He can give you 20. He's a big body. He can get you some boards. He's bulky. He can get you, Reese is, yeah, man. That white boy ball.
Hey,
He's about to get paid.
but let me talk about this for a second before we go into our topic. With LeBron scoring 40, it's one of those things that's misleading to me. Just the way the game is played for him at certain points.
Hmm.
When LeBron is scoring, that usually means he's not getting others involved,
Right. Yeah,
and
nine assists. So
that's kind of, well, but that's misleading too, and that's what I tell people all the time. You can have certain stats, but if you watch the game,
hmm
if guys are standing and he's dominating the ball, those guys are not as involved as they usually were, which
right.
means that they're not going to be engaged in the game like they usually are,
That's
which
fact.
means that at the end of the game, they're going to sit and watch.
That's very true.
They're going to sit and watch
I mean,
versus
yeah,
being involved.
lost that series because Denver's really good.
Yeah, Denver's a better team, period.
Players faded to an oblivion. D'Angelo Russell averaged 6 points in that series.
I think it was a bad matchup, and I told people this before the series started for them. It was a bad matchup for the Lakers, period.
No, I agree. Because
It's a
I
bad
mean,
matchup.
Jokic and Anthony Davis, you could expect them to ball, but Jokic is just light years ahead of that boy. And then Jamal Murray. But if D'Angelo Russell was his regular 20-point per game scoring self, But Denver got good perimeter defenders. They got
Good perimeter defenders, and they have multiple
yes,
perimeter defenders.
lengthy long cats who
Yeah,
can
they got three 6'8" to 6'10" guys that can
yeah.
defend
Or,
inside and out.
and people forget this. Remember this. Michael Porter Jr. is a number one overall draft pick if he doesn't hurt his back. The boy can ball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have
Denver,
a deep team.
they got a deep team.
Yeah,
And the boy was shooting 42% from three during the regular season. He ain't no
yeah.
slouch.
That's what I'm saying. They had the better squad. That's why I was telling people, before the series even started, it's a bad matchup for them because the Lakers had some great pieces, but they just didn't have the size and the length that, the Denver had. So, that was going to be a problem for them and something that they hadn't seen yet.
I mean, you could have brought in Mo Bamba.
That's what they said, bro. They was like, yeah, we're going to bring Mo Bamba in. We're going to suit him up. He going to dress out for the game. I'm like, for what?
For what? I mean, he could have gave you 4 minutes like Tristan Thompson did, but I mean, hey.
I mean, at least Tristan Thompson is more muscular, a little bit stronger. You know what I'm saying? He can bang a little bit. But,
Jokic would have been pushing that boy. Jokic would have been pushing Mo Bamba like a mug, man.
yeah, man. It wasn't going to work out for him.
Hey,
It wasn't going to work. Yeah.
series is over. Hold this broom, Laker fans. All right, wherever y'all at. I know y'all come from high, far, near, close, like
Well,
all of
well,
that.
but you have to be distinct. You have to say Lakers fans to give the Lakers fans their respect, and you have to say LeBron fans because it's different.
Very true.
It's different because
Yes,
I
because
don't want to disrespect the real Lakers fans and people who have been cheering for that squad the whole time, long before LeBron got there. That's their squad, right? And then you have the people the nomads who follow LeBron wherever he goes. So that's two totally different crowds of people. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to anybody at all, but that's different. You know what I'm saying?
Very true. But I mean, they out of there. Hold that broom. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me live update. 52-61. Boston losing. Oh well.
Yes, just
So,
stop looking. It's
yeah.
gonna get worse. It's gonna
Yeah.
get worse.
You gonna get these random updates on this from me. So
Well, we don't need any more updates. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now.
hey,
Boston's gonna get
we might get a Boston up by 3 and
Boston's gonna get swept. And just go ahead and line that up and go ahead and get to this defensive finals that we finna see. And whatever people say is boring or whatever, I'm gonna watch it because it's the finals, and I want to see.
I might watch a game or two.
I want to see good basketball. Period. So
Yeah,
I don't want to see rec basketball anymore. Rec league, just run up and down the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not as entertaining as watching Jimmy Buckets and all of them non-drafted players balling out right now.
Yep.
Gosh.
That's how I
Hey,
go.
shout out to Pat Riley for draft. I mean, the dude knows how to find talent.
Pat Riley alert. Yup. All right. Well, let's hop into the subject, man. Today we're talking about co-parenting. It's episode 127 for the kids. Co-parenting. Um, we we were talking about different subjects that we wanted to discuss, throughout the season, and this topic came up because I think a lot of times in situations, it's a lot of people out there, especially, by the time you're our age, you got kids and, life takes its twists and turns and you may no longer be with the person that you created this child with.
Right.
And I think because we've only seen certain types of parenting throughout our lives,
Right.
a lot of people don't know how to parent in two separate households.
They don't.
And two separate situations.
Don't want to.
Well, yeah, and what ends up happening is the kid ends up suffering and has all these childhood wounds and these childhood traumas because the parents did a terrible job of managing it in two separate situations.
Right.
So,
and normally that comes because usually when people split, they split terribly. They
yep,
don't split on good terms. So then now, if you're the manipulating type, which we all know, men and women alike, y'all are very manipulating. And if you are that type, eventually they're going to use the kids in that space, whether if they're young kids, whichever side they're going to be. And then you got to fight, you get what I'm saying, to deal with that. And then now y'all don't like each other. So guess what the kids see? They see all the drama.
Yep. And a
And as
lot of
a kid, you trying to process that. And now you're trying to figure out whose side should I be on. And in most cases, they're going to be on the mother side. But it's a tricky situation. So you got to be careful.
well, yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Usually the kid feels like they have to pick a side, which, it needs to be explained to the child first and foremost. They don't have to pick a side, right? They don't
That
have to feel
you're dealing
obligated to pick a
with
side.
mature adults,
Yeah.
because that's the caveat in all of this. Because a lot of this stuff goes down because of issues, of course, but because so and so still has feelings for so and so. And so now, instead of him trying to take or her trying to take care of the kids, they trying to get back with you, and you in the process trying to get back with them. Like it's this whole circus that, I mean, honestly, when I was in my, I didn't have time for. And if that was the road you was on, yeah, I'm good.
Well, see, this is the generalization that I've seen play out a lot, right? Usually it's the guy. The guy sexually wants to be involved with the baby mama or the mother of his children, but he doesn't want to be in a relationship. But because he's given her that attention, she is misled to think that he still wants to be with her,
And
which causes that conflict.
well, and then if you, the another side of that too, though, is if she introduces another dude into the situation, you got to figure your way through that, because she could be using you to make him jealous, to get back at him, to see if he still cares, to see if he'll step up. You get what I'm saying? So you got all of these little pieces in there that you got to deal with. And dudes are territorial. You get what I'm saying? So in their territorialism, I think I just created a word. I think I just created a word. Territorialism. I like that. In that space, you have a dude who will try to step his game up to impress, and the woman who's been looking for that the entire time is going to use that. You get what
Yep.
I'm saying? So you have all of these types of little nuances going on with all of this co-parenting. And again, if the kids are seeing that, they're gonna have some issues because they little minds trying to process all of this. And if you ain't mature enough, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna create some problems for your kids down the road.
Yeah, and when I was looking at doing my usual research on these topics, man, I didn't realize that they had three different types of co-parenting that they had kind of categorized these things in.
Hmm.
And the first one on the list was parallel co-parenting, and that's the most common, right?
Okay.
That's low conflict, but also low communication. That's parents who don't have a lot of conflict because they don't have a lot of interaction. They don't talk to each other. Generally, it's I'm gonna drop you off at grandma's house, and then your dad can pick you up from there, or vice versa. So they
Right.
don't even have to interact. You know what I'm saying? And they're not on the same page though. That's the problem with the child. So it's like the child goes here, one set of rules here, child goes over here, another set of rules over here, and it can be confusing for the child, especially if they're small.
It is. And in a lot of those spaces, somebody is being down talked.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like you at so and so grandma house, and all so and so is doing is talking down on who the kid is supposed to love or supposed to have feelings for, especially if it's if it's your mom. So behind those closed doors, you have these issues, and again, the kids end up being affected because imagine somebody every day, your grandpa, grandma, whatever, talking bad about your pops every time you see him.
Yep.
Something negative to say, something bad to say, something to this, something to that. And they, to a grown up, they sound foolish, but to the kids, they like, are they really talking about my dad or this or that? And if the kid isn't mature enough, he'll grow up hating you just based off what his supposed grandma or whatever was saying. So
Well, that, but also I've seen situations where it creates a wedge between the child and the grandma
yeah, very
because the
because
kid
kids
loves their
are
dad and
enough to be like, I ain't finna let you talk about my dad.
yeah, and they love their mom. So it's like when the third party comes in and tries to badmouth somebody, you know what I'm saying? It creates tension between, the child and that other person. So, you know, um, that's a very difficult situation. And we'll get into some other scenarios too, because you gotta look at, in some of these situations you have step parents and
Mhm.
different scenarios that complicate it even more.
Right.
So, but there is, excuse me, there's ways that you can, eliminate a lot of these issues, but it's going to take some planning and it's going to take some maturity from the adults involved to make sure that the kid remains the central focus, what I'm saying, make sure the kid stays good
Facts.
throughout these situations.
Because
Be-
eventually, I would tell my daughter this: it's no longer about you. It really isn't.
Yeah.
At this point, it's about the baby, the safety of the baby, the well-being of the baby, and all of those things that come with raising a healthy child.
Yep.
And that to me is something I can say I've always, gravitated to and wanted because of the environment I came up in. I didn't want mine to see that. But when you don't know how to implement it, you're trying to figure it out as you go. And if you pick a partner who ain't interested in seeing you better yourself, I mean, you're gonna have some issues there too. So it's a lot wrapped up in it. We're
Yep.
gonna split the blunt down the middle. We're gonna pull out all of the we're gonna pull out all of the stuff, and we're gonna fix it up. We're gonna re-roll it, and then we're gonna be all right.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but yeah, I get where you going. All right, number two on the list is it says number one.
We're gonna pull the guts out of the cigar and get rid of the bad stuff. Okay.
This guy. All right, number one.
Hold on, Ken. Celtics
Uh
up
uh
68
uh
61.
Nah, we're not doing that. Celtics. Yeah, we're gonna leave them where they at.
All
All
right.
right,
I'm just
so
saying, bro. I'm just saying.
we gonna leave them where they at. All right. So the second one on the list is the conflicted co-parenting, and that's to me, number one, the parallel co-parenting they said is the most common, but I
Now, why,
mean,
why did it say that that one was the most common
it
apparel?
didn't give a reason why. It just said that's the most common, which I can understand it. But I know a lot of the situations. I don't know. It might be a balance of the parallel and the conflicted because frequent conflict and little to no communication characterizes a lot of the co-parenting situations that I've seen,
Yeah,
play out because as we talked about earlier, you have people who are still intertwined either physically or emotionally,
facts.
and they can't put that to the side to put the focus on the child. So they use the child as a chess piece in between to
Exactly.
try to play these games, and then it becomes an issue,
A huge issue. I agree.
right? Right. So the communication that they do have is not real communication. It's basically bickering back and forth, arguing, what I'm saying, talking down on each other, and no real productive communication. So, you
And
know,
and the Mac of all Macs, Mr. Billy D. Williams said, if you still bickering with somebody back and forth like that, that's just you haven't dealt with your emotions in the proper space. You still got some underlying feelings there, and you got to be careful with that.
yeah, I mean, in a lot of these situations, that's why we as young people, when our parents have talked to us or our grandparents talked to us about having sex and creating these situations, we ain't hearing that. We just wanna knock something down, and we
Fact.
just feel like if I have a kid out of it, oh well, I'll be able to do what I need to do. But we don't understand all of the moving parts that come with being a parent before we become one.
Exactly.
So, and
And these kids is whooping some of these parents behind.
yeah, it's tough, man. It's
they,
tough.
they wish they could rewind.
But you know what?
Hey,
And the thing is, a lot of people don't understand that don't have kids. Parenting is already tough. Period.
facts.
It's already tough, you know what I'm saying, without having a co-parenting situation. Even if you have, two parents living in the same household, married, the ideal situation, parenting is still tough.
Facts.
So
Because
trying to do it in two separate households, it has to be, difficult.
I mean, think the difficulty of y'all being together all the time in a house. If that house is not a home, you got issues there. The kids are there. The kids see that. The kids see emotion. They don't know how to express it all the time, but they see mama's not happy, daddy's not happy. The kids, they may not say nothing because a lot of them are taught to stay in a child's place. They hear the arguments, they hear the fights, they hear the fussing, they hear all of that, they see all of that. And they're trying to process it and deal with it, but that's just in the house. Now imagine if y'all outside of the house, because now you got to deal with, I got to drop them off there. Can you come pick them up here? Can you do this? And if y'all fighting and fussing and arguing, like it's it's drama. It's a problem. I'm always lean on the side of if your kids are old enough, they should be able to communicate with their parent, their dad. If my son has access to me, if and this is a part of the co-parenting that can make this, in my opinion, 10 times better. It might not work for everybody, but it always is worked for me. That your son or your daughter should have access. Dad, I need so and so, so and so, so and so. Can you? I need it by Friday. Teach your kids to communicate. Teach your kids to have, that's how you allow them to have the relationship. Because if the two parents can get along, y'all gonna create all kind of issues that the kids don't need to see. So let the baby call, talk, ask the questions, and find out the things, and then teach your kids to communicate. And hey, mom, dad said so and so he need, can he pick me up at, and teach that space so that your kids, they ain't got to see y'all doing all that all the time. And we know, teach the kids, if you teach them to communicate, they can actually help in that process. So
Yep.
also don't want they kids to have access to the other parent, so they, yeah, that's a whole nother issue.
And the third type of co-parenting on the list eliminates a lot of those issues that you just mentioned, and it's cooperative parenting, cooperative co-parenting, and that's the ideal setting because it's usually conflict free. You got parents planning things together, whether they're together or not. They get together to plan, and they offer parental support for each other. So instead of it being a situation where it might be your weekend to have your son or to have your daughter, and they understand that, and then something comes up in your life that you might need to change a plan. You can
Right.
get on the phone and say, hey, this just happened for work. They switched my schedule, and you won't have any issue because she or he is understanding. And you say, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll swap. And then next week you'll do back to back weekends or whatever the case may be. Just create an understanding between the two and provide that support for one another to
Right.
show the child also that, hey, mom and dad, even though they're not together, they're still on the same page. They're still on the same team. They're team me, and they want the best for me as their child.
That in a perfect world, that's how it's supposed to be. But again, when you got folks who are looking for a leg up to get child support, to get this, to get that, to some people are in fear. Some of these women are in fear of losing the kids because you know what I'm saying, and they're getting child support. So they're trying to paint the pops or whatever to be this villain so that they can continue to do what they've been doing. Again, when the manipulation enters into the situation, you're gonna have some issues. Like you're gonna have some problems. In a perfect world, yeah, like that scenario, that style, it works. Like it makes sense. But I was in a space, and I ain't gonna say which space, you know what I'm saying, which kid, which whatever. I was in a space where they were trying to paint me to be the bad person, you get what I'm saying, to basically like take my son away from me.
Wow.
So I had to deal with that. And sometimes I get why fathers be like, whatever, man, like leave it. You get what I'm saying? Because they paint you to be this person when you've been the solid foundation to the whole thing. But again, when that manipulation is in that space, man, that's a terrible thing. Like it's horrible. But again, if you got two consenting adults willing to be team kid, make sure the kid is good, that kid should have access to that father or that mother. Like, hey, now if you've done something wild and crazy, like leave your kid in the car and do all that stuff, you got court orders and all kind of stuff against you, go to the courts, pimping, and see your and get your visitation rights from there. Don't call me. You shouldn't be calling me. But this is for mature folks because some folks have restraining orders on the opposite parent because the parent is wild and that parent doesn't want to go to the courts because they're gonna create some wild scenario. But if you want to see your kid, I need you to do it this way so that we both are safe
Yeah.
or we have some buffer in between us. And I'm not a total advocate for like CPS and all of that type of stuff, but I can't lie. In some instances, they need to be involved. The law needs to be involved because some of you niggas is ignorant.
Yeah, and we're gonna definitely talk about that because we do have a list of things that can help you improve your co-parenting. So we're gonna
Oh,
get to that. But
sorry about that. I was gonna give you another update, but it's okay.
no, we don't want no updates. All right. How about you give us an update on what's your most difficult thing that you've discovered, during your co-parenting time?
I think mine the most difficult. I got several of them, but the most difficult thing for me was is at the time. Now this is years ago, almost. I want to say about close to 20 years ago, because my daughter is 23, my oldest son is 21. So we're talking like almost what we're looking at 17, 18 years ago. The most difficult thing I found is making sure you understand the entire system
Mm,
because the laws aren't always for you. Like if you don't know them, they will use those things. The law will you be used against you if you don't know it. So I was in a situation where I had full custody of both of my kids, right? So got custody of them, went through all the hoops I needed to go through. Got went through psychology classes, anger management classes, which this is the stuff they did back in the late 90s, right? Like fathers didn't have a lot of rights. So they were shocked that I was in there seeking custody of my kids. And I'm like, my kids have been with me the entire time. They live with me. I work two jobs to take care of my kids. Like I'm the one hustling, bringing this, putting this together. So when at the time, the relationship I was in at the time, like she got jail time.
mm.
Like she left my oldest son in the car. And if those of you who are familiar with what's called Megan's Law, it was when the little baby got left in the car and died, right? So I was in a situation like that where my son almost died. So it was crazy. But you're in this space and you're trying to abide by the law. You're trying to do what's right because at 20 something years old, you're just trying to be a law abiding citizen. Not realizing the law is can be just as crazy as heck, right? So here I have getting restraining orders, doing this, doing that. That didn't stop her from trying to pull up to the schools, see the babies, getting on the buses, doing all types of stuff. You get what I'm saying? So for me, the most difficult part was in my space was is making sure I did everything I could possibly do for my kids.
Yeah.
You literally have to take the other person out of the equation and be like, whatever. Like, this is about the kids now. And if you're a dude that's working 2 jobs, taking care of your kids, hustling, doing what you need to do, you can't be everywhere all the time. So yeah, like she would pull up to the schools. She would try to pull the kids out of school. Like all you name it. So that was difficult for me because now everywhere I go, everywhere I move, she has access to a degree.
Yeah.
I don't even want you to know where I live, but you got kids with them. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you navigate it? How do you handle it? You call the laws. The laws is going to be like, well, can you protect your kids? You get what I'm saying? You can't use force. You can go get a restraining order, but what if that person isn't consenting or care about that? So you got all of these little things going on, and you have to be careful. So keep the kid in mind, and that to me was probably one of the hardest things I had to deal with in co-parenting. So,
Wow. Yeah,
and not a lot of people know that because I kept that under wraps. I had
that's
never really talked those who knew me personally. My sister, God bless her soul, she passed, but she knew the real. She knew what was up. Had the court documents, the paperwork, everything I needed to have, and I dealt with that for a long time. And I just handled it like a G, just dealt with it, kept pushing because it wasn't about me at that time. It was about making sure my kids were in a healthy space that when they finally got to 18, they can make their own decisions and do what they want to.
wow. Yeah, no, that's tough.
Right.
That's a
It,
very, very tough situation to be in.
it was crazy. It was crazy. So you have to be, as a parent, you in the co-parenting situation, you have to be mindful of the fact that your kids come first in this situation. So, and sometimes you got to take drastic measures and do, you know what I'm saying, the most, to protect them. So,
Yep, yep, yep. So, I mean, now we're at the point to where we can start talking about this list of, from the Parent Today magazine list of things that can help improve co-parenting, right? First thing on the list is
oh, oh,
collaborate. Don't litigate. Collaborate. Don't
oh,
litigate.
hold on, say that again.
Collaborate. Don't litigate. Like come together, figure it out, plan, do something, but keep it out of the courts. Keep it out of the system. Because what people don't understand, like you just described, like the law isn't kind to everybody. And once you get in the system, it's hard to get out. Some situations can't avoid it.
So
But
yeah, yeah, and that's the crazy part because most people have no choice but to revert to the law because in all honesty, sometimes it feels right, and you could just be wanting to do the right thing and end up doing the wrong thing,
yep.
and it could be crazy. But eventually, after a while, man, you have to just be like, you know what, I got, like forget that, forget that, and just go with like, okay, what are we doing? Like I eventually had to put my kids in a different school and all this type of stuff. So there's things you have to do, but again, that comes from two adults that got sense. If you don't, again, if you're dealing with somebody who ain't got no sense, listen, pimping, you're gonna have to figure something else out. Yeah, because
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are just, it's a list of 10. So,
right.
I mean, I'm pretty sure all won't apply to everybody, but this is number one on the list to avoid the system at all costs if you can, because once you get involved in the system, it's pretty hard to get out. And usually you're going to be involved in the system through the rest of that child's, life until they're 18. So, that's a journey of its own. So, if you can avoid it, please do. Please do.
Please
All
do.
right. Number two on the list is be respectful and professional. This is key. This is key, right? Because this to me addresses kind of what we talked about earlier when we talked about the intertwined feelings and still being physically involved with one another and things like that. You have to treat it like a working relationship.
You
If
do.
you're not going to be with that person, you got to cut ties as far as emotional and physical You know what I'm saying? Like you can have love for that person because you all created a child together, created children together, but you don't have to be physically involved with them or even emotionally tied to them like you were before, because that is where the issues are created and the child is not prioritized in most of those situations.
That is facts. And sadly, a lot of people don't know how to turn their emotions off because that's all they. Some people get their way through their emotions,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and that's how they get their way. So they've trained themselves, even adults. They've trained themselves to get things through their emotions. So being respectful comes, should I would think just in the back of my mind, you would want to be respectful to somebody who you know is actually taking care of your kids. And you can tell when somebody's taking care of your kids.
yeah. That
You
and
would think, but that doesn't always click. That's why you got to be careful with those emotions. Now, if you a dude and you only showing up once every 2 weeks, like you ain't really doing, like, come on, man, like for real, like really. Even the kids notice you ain't looking out for them. Like they know what's up. But to any person with common sense, a little bit of sense, you know when your kids are being taken care of. You can see it on. You can see their mental. You can see their body language. We can read all of that and tell if a kid ain't being taken care of. You know what I'm saying? So you would think a consenting parent would be respectful, but it doesn't always work that way. So, ugh.
yeah. And to kind of put another perspective on it, you gotta watch when you meet a person. We got to pay more attention to things outside of just the person themselves, how they act, and what they look like.
Like,
We need to do our research, our due diligence, baby, because like when you look at their parents, that person's parents, a
mm,
lot of times that's a dead giveaway of what you're going to experience because of the way they were parented. So
the
the way
apple
they were
is
parented,
falling too
they're
far from the tree.
yeah, they're gonna parent the same way that they were parented in a lot of situations, because of course we as humans we're gonna gravitate to what we know,
Facts.
right? But us being older adults now, you know what I'm saying, and having kids who are older, we understand that the way we were parented is not necessarily the way that we should be parenting our kids,
Exactly.
right? We have to figure that out along the way because, to be quite honest with you, even each kid has to be parented differently,
No, very true. We talked
right?
about this on our father episode,
Yeah,
where each kid has to be parented different. And the crazy part is the kids don't see it that way. Like they, the youngest wants what the oldest gets. You get what I'm saying? If you get the youngest something, the oldest gonna want it, and vice versa.
yeah,
So you have to establish, no, like he's older. He gets that type of leeway because he's expressed. Like my youngest son is very mature, very loving, very respectful. If he says, "Dad, like I'm going to a pizza party at so and so," he'll literally tell me like I'll be back by this time. I'll be like there's no gray area in between with him. Like he does his thing, so he
yeah.
gets respect for that. You get what I'm saying? That goes a long way, but every kid doesn't always see it that way.
No, no, and they're not. But that's where it's our responsibility to again, put them in the forefront and also allow them the lead way to be able to communicate with us and express themselves, so we can also do the same. And a lot of times when we were growing up, our parents were like, "Just do what I told you to do," and when we had questions. But a lot of times you have to look at the questions these kids are asking and actually have these conversations with them so they can have a better understanding and possibly make things easier for you as a parent and parenting them, because you're explaining things to them so they can understand it in their little minds, and
Right.
once they grasp it, it makes the job for you a whole lot easier moving forward because now they understand it.
You're right. Very true. Because if you got some smart kids around you, you get what I'm saying. Like they want to assist. They want to help. They want to know more. They want to learn more. as these kids grow up, man, we got to put them in the right position to ask the right questions and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it's
These
a
kids.
work in progress, man. But shout out to my boy King, because he been handling this business since the inception. So
Yeah, man, these kids don't want conflict. These kids just want love, man. And once you understand that, the more love you can provide them and the more clarity that they have on the relationship between you and them and you and their mother or their father, like it puts them at ease and it makes things easier for them because I'm gonna be quite honest with you, man. These kids are under way more pressure now than we ever were, as kids, right? The expectations are way higher for
I don't
them.
know.
So,
I grew up around a bunch of drugs, so I don't I don't know, man. But hey, man, I know they got a lot going on. But
yeah, well, I mean, that's an extenuating circumstance, but I'm just saying, like for the average kid nowadays, like for us growing up, the average kid, it was simple. You know what I'm saying? We just had to go to school and go outside and play and go at home, go home and be home when the street light came on and take a bath and play the game and go to bed and do it again the next day. Like these kids are online. These kids have social media. These kids are getting bullied 24/7.
right,
Like it's a whole nother ball game out here. So, they don't need to come home into a situation when they leave school and they have all these other issues and come home to bad parenting and parents that can't get along and parents that's causing issues as well as the issues they already have. That's overwhelming for everybody involved, especially the kid.
especially a kid, especially when that house ain't a home. I promise you, it's no guarantee them kids gonna, what I'm saying, grow up and be wise and smart and intelligent. But one thing I can guarantee you, that house ain't a home. They gonna have some issues for sure.
Yup. All right. So number 3 on the list is creating a parenting plan. This is something easy. This
Right.
is something easy, and this alone, I don't care what kind of relationship you have with that person. If you're willing to at least sit down and create at least a framework for what a parenting plan would be, I
Hmm.
think it'll help. Mentally start to connect the dots for everybody involved because the kids need consistency, right?
Right.
The kids need things like, okay, when they go over your house, they need rules, right? When they come to my house, we can't have a totally different set of rules, right? We have to have some type of consistency or something that's parallel or lines up so their little minds can understand, okay, if I got to go to bed at 9 o'clock p.m. at mom's house, you can't go over dad's house and he's saying, well, you ain't got no curfew. I mean, you don't have no bedtime. Like, that's not going to work.
Well, see, now here we go back to that manipulation and all of that. Because if I'm trying to gain favor with you by being the cool dad, the cool this, the cool,
It's true.
I'm trying to gain that. You're going to offer that much, much, much bigger leeway because you're trying your best, what you think is good, to get in good with the relationship with the kid.
You're competing for
In
the
all
child's
honesty,
affection.
you just need to love the kid. Kids love structure. I'm sitting here telling you, as hard headed as I am, I love structure. I didn't get it when I was growing up, but to meet my uncles and them who offered the structure, I loved it. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? And kids love the structure. They want discipline. They want structure. And if you're the type of parent who is just being lackadaisical, letting them do whatever, but on this side, you know what I'm saying, you're creating a confusion. Like on this side, they got rules. On your side, we ain't got no rules. So you're creating a problem.
Yeah. So that parenting plan is key. That can be done via text now. So you don't even have to see each other or be in each other's presence. You could just send text back and forth, say, hey, these are, just the 3 simple things that we try to do at my house to create some consistency. How do you feel about incorporating that and what you all are doing? All you can do is ask, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? And if, like I said, even if the person, you don't get along well with the other parent, if they're a reasonable person, you know what I'm saying? Like I would be willing to say, okay, well, you know what? Your mom says you go to bed at 9 p.m. at her house. We're gonna rock with the same thing over here to make sure that you have that consistency. You know what I'm saying? Or if you eat at a certain time at your mom's house, well then we're gonna try to see if we can do the same thing here to keep that consistency. It's just small things, man, that you can
That
do.
you got, as you said earlier, you gotta be team the kid.
Yeah, you gotta put the kid first. And I think in a lot of situations that, again, if people remember to put the child first, you know what I'm saying? That child, like my mom says all the time, shout out to my moms, them children didn't ask to come here. Them children did not ask to come here. So there
You
is
got
no
to
reason why they should.
brought these little nigglets into the world.
Yeah, there's no reason why they should have to deal with any other drama that's involved between two adults. They little lives should be as easy as possible when they growing up. So, you know what I'm saying, and nothing but full of love. So, create that love environment and, hey, if you all have a chance, go ahead and try to create a parenting plan, see how it works out.
Try to do it. We
Yep.
giving y'all some tips, man. We hooking y'all up.
Facts. Number 4, remember that fair doesn't always mean equal. That's a big one
Very good.
because because I think a lot of times people confuse those two words, fair and equal. You know what I'm saying? Fair and equal are not the same, right? You know what I'm saying? Because, you have situations where, say for instance, you got a little boy. You know what I'm saying? In my eyes, fair means that little boy is, his dad has custody of him if
Mhm.
possible. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a little boy needs to be around a man to learn how to be a man, to learn how to grow into a man. Not saying that a woman can't do an amazing job, but there's just certain things that a woman can't teach a young man about being a man,
Facts.
that a man is just going to do a better job at if he's on top of his game. So, that's one of those situations where that's fair, but is it equal? Because right, you might not be spending the same amount of time with dad and mom,
Right.
so it's not going to be equal, but it's the fair thing to do. So you have to look at it again. This is a reoccurring thing. Put the kid first.
Put the kid.
What is best for that child? What environment is best for that child? You know what I'm saying? Like when you have a teenage daughter and she starts a cycle, she probably needs to be around her mom so her mom can teach her, how to take care of those things. And can a man do that? Yeah, if he knows how to if he knows how to talk to her, if he knows how to buy the right products and things like that. But that's much easier for a woman to do because she's been through it herself.
Facts. And I remember them days, man. My daughter was 15 and she had her first, and I had to go to the store and get her pads. I
Yeah.
remember walking through the little aisles asking the food for less lady, like, hey, yo, like for real, like, let me holler at you real quick. Like my daughter just had a little period, you know what I'm saying? And so she started asking me, look, is she a heavy bleeder? Does she need wings? Does she like she started asking me all this little stuff? I had no idea what was going on. And and eventually I had to just be like, all right, I think it's this one, grab this one. And one of the most
it'd
funny
be, it'd
feelings,
be like you ain't got no variety pack up in here. You ain't got one with the heavy, the wings.
I'm telling
So
you,
I
man,
could pick
like
one.
what's
Let
going
her
on?
pick when she gets home.
It's like this is when she was 15. So this is
Yeah.
forever ago, right? And you walk into pay for pads, man. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And so, like I said, it's things that we have to do as parents that, again, might not always be fair or
mhm,
equal, but, you have to keep in mind that it's not always going to be those scenarios where you can quantify it as such.
right.
Again, you just have to do what's best for the child.
Facts. I
And,
agree.
and number 5 on the list is, certainly that it's communicating effectively, right?
Oh Lord.
That should be probably number 1 on the
I
list.
mean,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad it's in there though.
Yeah, I don't think these are in,
Chronological order.
in order of importance,
Right.
but communicating effectively is huge because it's the groundwork for everything that you're going to do, right? You have to communicate effectively in any walk of life. I don't care if it's family, business, or whatever. Communicating effectively is the most powerful tool that you can probably have.
Right. And it matters. You know, this is the constant thing, but it matters among two parents trying to raise a kid, co-parenting in two different houses, right? Communication is important.
Yep, for sure, for sure. All right. Well, I think number 6 on the list is kind of like an embodiment of the top 5. So we will skip that one. Number 7. This is huge, y'all. Huge, huge, huge. Never insult your ex in front of your kids.
I mean,
That is huge because I hear that all too often where people
it happens.
badmouth the other person in front of the child and it creates this narrative.
It happens. But
Yeah.
there's a whole different. See, there's a fine line in between there, though, because these are some of the questions I used to have to ask myself or get asked. Where do you draw the line when it's truth? When what is being said is not skepticism or just thought, but it actually is truth coming from people who are per se outside of the scope of it, but are a part of it. So, example, let's say if your ex baby mama is, and we're just going to use just a hypothetical scenario. Let's just say somebody notices, you know what I'm saying, your girl at the, dope spot. You get what I'm saying? And they notice her, losing a little weight, acting a little funny. The kids notice it or whatever. And you have this space where that is the theme, that's the conversation. And we're not talking about for little babies, we're talking about for teenagers. And the kid is seeing that. Do we want to hide the trueness of the situation from them? Because again, in that space of protection, I think they do need to know certain things, but it's a fine line because again, kids see it, they may not be able to process it or speak wisely to it, but they see stuff. So with that, in my estimation, sometimes it can be very tricky because yeah, I had to be honest, I've been in that space where people were saying things, and it's like
Well,
you know it's true, and you're
I
like,
I think you can address it, but it doesn't have to be an insult, right?
right,
There's a way that you can, explain it to them without without it being derogatory, right? There's
right,
always a way that you can explain things without putting the other person down, where you can explain the situation to especially to kids. And no kid wants to hear that their parent is a person of bad morals, of
right.
bad character, and things of that nature. So we don't want to hide things from them per se, but we don't want to add fuel to the fire of a situation that's already not something that's ideal or not something that's good. So we have to, be creative as adults and use our adult mind and use our adult vocabulary to be able to articulate what's going on in a manner and where the kid doesn't feel like you're insulting their mom or their dad.
I agree, and that's the best course of action. And I think kind of being in the space where you are learning that can be tricky because you don't know it in the onset, and then it's like God downloads it to you after you've been in it,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Dang, I should have did it that way. I should have did." You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it can be tricky, but here we are. We're giving y'all this great information because I mean, obviously, we've been through it to a degree, right?
Yup, yup. And I told my son earlier today, man, when I talked to him, my oldest son, there's things that I look at to this day as far as parenting that I'm like, ugh,
Yeah,
should have done that a little differently. But, you can't.
we don't get a do over in that sense.
Yeah.
Unless you want some more kids, and
Yeah.
I don't
No.
want no more kids.
No, don't I don't want any more kids.
No,
So,
we'll send it to grandbaby, the one you can take and then send them off.
yeah. Yeah, and that's what I said. I'll help you all become better parents
Facts. I
before you
like
even get there. You know what I'm
I
saying?
help y'all become better parents. I like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna help y'all become better parents because
Yes.
of the information that I know now and how I can help guide you along the way. Because like I said, no knock to my parents because they did what they knew how to do as
Right.
far as instructing us when we became parents. But there's a lot more information and a lot more things that we know now that we can help our kids with. So,
King.
but nah, we're not doing that. So,
I want you to know. I want you to look at that
no,
photo.
no, no, no.
You see
So,
him smiling, right? You see him
no,
smiling, right?
no.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the next one on the list, number 8, is schedule parenting dates. Now,
Oh, okay. Talk to me about this one because we talked to me.
now you have situations where you have two adults that have to, what I'm saying, get on the same page, right? You need to be, mature enough to, hey, what are you doing this afternoon? How about, we drop the kids off at your parents' house or whatever, and we meet at Chili's or whatever, and just sit down and have some chips and salsa, a couple of non-alcoholic drinks, because when alcohol gets involved, y'all get crazy. So, and let's talk about how we're going to deal with, the kids this year, how we're going to deal with the plan of picking them up from practices and, parent teacher conferences, how are we dealing with that? Like, just sit down and be able to do that in a public arena
I
because,
don't know about that one.
because, when
I,
you're in public, you're usually not going to get out of hand. And
pontificate on that one.
well, like I said again, it has to be two willing parties willing to do something for the betterment of the child, right?
Right.
Take your emotions out of it. You got to be able to sit down and do this because, like I said, you're in public. A lot of times, you're not going to be thinking the same way you're thinking if you're sitting somewhere in private area in between two, because you're not going to act up in certain areas. People would level head.
Right.
So, I think it's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? And in a way, if the kids know that their parents went to somewhere and had something to eat and actually, again, put them first, it's building a confidence in that child that even though my parents aren't together, like they love me enough to, spend time with each other to develop a plan for me
Hmm.
to make sure that I'm good.
Right.
So I think that's where that comes in, and I've heard of people far and few times, but I've heard of people doing that where they just meet up and just go talk about how they're gonna handle the kids this year.
Right. I mean, I don't know any. I mean, this might sound crazy, but most of the relationships I know, those their parents are together. So I don't know of many where that has taken place
Hmm.
like that. So I can't really speak to that, but I do know in certain instances when I was dating, that kind of that took place, but then again there was still, you know what I'm saying, that element of feeling there. So to me it was a turn off. Like it's like, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean it's like we said, people. These ain't absolute. These just options, right? We're
Right.
just trying to give you some options to, what I'm saying, make sure that everybody is covered, what I'm saying, under this. You can pick something on that list to help you
You know,
out.
they could pick several off of that list. I like
Yeah.
the list.
Yeah, so we just trying to give you some things that can help you out. Yeah, so try it out.
Hopefully y'all ain't throwing stuff at the table and, you know what I'm saying, and throwing
Well,
drinks on each other and, you
just
know.
make sure you don't go and have the parenting date at Waffle House, because Waffle House
Well,
environment
oh man, yeah,
seems to
that's guaranteed
always
fight.
breed some type of fighting. So
Guaranteed
yeah.
a fight there.
All right, number 9 on the list is don't expect your ex to follow your rules. That's a big one. Just because
Oh,
just because you have set certain rules, you can't expect them to follow everything that you have set forward. That's unrealistic, right?
right.
Especially if you in a situation where a lot of times where you all have remarried, two different, two totally different environments, two totally different households, and that person that your ex married to, pretty sure they have some rules and regulations and parenting that they want to do. And also that goes back to number 8. You should also to make sure that you get on the same page. If you are in those situations where you have like a step parent situation, maybe that's cool where you all go on a double date, like all four of y'all, and sit down and discuss, what I'm saying, how you all deal with the kids. Because if you all four of you all can get on the same page, that's amazing.
I mean, that would be in an ideal world like that. That makes sense. You would hope it would.
Yeah,
Um,
because I mean that's the only way that you're gonna really, like I said again, put the kid first, and the kids got to be, in the forefront of everything in the decision making that you all have. Because, the bickering back and forth, I've seen situations where they have the little memes and stuff where they have a baseball game or football game, and they got the jerseys on, and it says dad, mom, stepdad, stepmom, and they all there together
mhm.
supporting the child. And I've seen situations like that in real life, and it's amazing.
Right,
And that child was a great kid. Like, it was a great kid, and I enjoyed being around his family unit because I was like, I had never seen nothing like that before. Like, everybody just put him first, literally. And it
right,
was beautiful because he was a great academic kid. He was a great athlete. Like, he excelled in everything he did because of the support and the love that he had from his family unit.
right. Now,
So,
I remember one of my mentors, him and his wife, they, had kids from previous relationships. So they would put dinners and stuff together, and they were cool enough to invite the exes and all of that stuff over, and they would, they would be in that space. So I've seen it work. I've seen it happen before, but that comes from both of the two parents, who are solid, putting it together, establishing boundaries and all of that type of stuff, and making sure there ain't no extra issues going on in there.
yeah, I mean, because like I said, I mean, you can have a barbecue at the house and invite, what I'm saying, your ex and her new man over, and
Hmm.
y'all chop it up and play dominoes and be cool, and the kids see that, and it's all love. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because at the end of the day, you all have to interact, what I'm saying, and we'll be, tied together for the rest of y'all lives because y'all created a life together. Y'all created some lives together. So
I
it
mean, that,
behooves
I
it
mean,
be
again, kid first, right?
yeah, it behooves you as the adult to do that, right? I don't see any situation, barring that person is like some horrible person that, what I'm saying, is a criminal, or is, some extreme, situation going on. Barring that, like, you should be able to be on the same page with them at some form or way, that you all put the kid first and be able to, make sure that, you have some alignment
Very
at
true.
some point. You know what I'm
Should,
saying?
should.
Yeah.
I agree.
Can't be on separate pages all the time. That's not gonna work.
I mean, these individuals are quite interesting.
Yeah, very. All right. Last one on the list is give your kids some agency. And I know people said agency, what that mean? Agency means recognizing that your children have a right to make choices and decisions and are capable of initiating their own learning. That is huge because that is something that most of our parents did not do for us when
Oh
we
no,
were kids,
what
because
I say
they were
about
like, yeah, you don't have no rights, you don't have no say so, you just do what I told you to do, and
yeah,
then that's it. But that's not right though. As a child, you have to develop some decision making ability,
exactly.
right? You
You
have
should
to,
learn that in the house. I would
yeah.
agree.
Because I tell my sons all the time, I want you to make the worst decisions you're gonna make. If you're gonna make bad decisions, I want you to make them while you're under my purview, while you're under my care, so I can help you work through those and help you manage those. I don't want you getting out in the world and I didn't help you learn how to make decisions when you were young, so you get out in the world making terrible decisions,
That's very true.
because then you're a grown adult and you have different consequences
No,
when
very
you're
true.
doing things as an
And
adult.
it's expensive being ignorant when you're an adult.
Yeah, and I can't help you in certain situations as an adult. Some things you're gonna run into that you make a decision to do, it's just gonna be all on you. It's gonna be between you and the police.
Because I ain't
So
showing up.
I mean, I can't, right? You're an adult. It's so I mean, I think a lot of people, if they hear me saying this, they might be confused. And I'm not saying that, kids are gonna be all kids are gonna get in trouble, But there are certain situations and certain type of decisions and choices that kids are aware of, and I think they are, apprehensive about talking to the parents about it because they don't feel like the parents is gonna listen.
Very true. Very true.
So, we have
With
to help.
that super stern parent, yeah,
Yeah,
you'll get that. You'll get that for sure.
yeah. So we have to be open to, listening to them and hearing their ideas and helping them make decisions instead of making all the decisions for them.
Right.
Right? Because we want them to
I ain't
learn
gonna
that
grow up and I
process.
know how to do nothing.
Yeah, we want them to learn that decision making process under our guidance so that we can help them, learn how to make, correct the right decisions, not just
Right.
any decision, right?
I agree. I agree. That's critical.
Yeah.
So, kind of putting that into perspective. Sometimes you learn that as you go.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
it's
saying?
definitely.
Like, oh shoot, I should have did it. So, hey,
Yep.
we're here learning just as much as everybody else is, right?
Facts. And like I said, I mean, for me, the last idea I want to leave the audience with is, something I say all the time. We never stop parenting. We
Facts.
never stop parenting, right? When you're a parent, you're a parent until you leave here or until, God forbid that your child leaves here before you. But as long as you all are both on this earth, you're parenting. I don't care if you're 60 and they're 40 or you 80 and they 60, you're still parenting. They still need you. They still, what I'm saying, will lean on your intelligence and your guidance. They still need it, right? And most importantly,
Parenting
they
never
need your
stops.
love.
As an adult, it never stops.
Yeah,
And you
most
may want to take a break from it, but it never stops.
well, for me, as much as I have going on in my personal life at times, my professional life and things I'm busy. I tell my kids I don't care what's going on. I put it all down for them,
Right.
right? Because I want them to understand how important they are to me and what they mean to me. I don't care how old they are.
Right.
I tell my daughter all the time when she gets 40, 50, 60 years old, she's still going to be my baby girl.
Right.
Period. So it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna be pops. I'm always gonna be dad.
That's very true. And ain't nothing like baby girl though. Like that's yeah.
I'm gonna tell you like this before we get up out of here. I have two sons, two older sons, and love my sons. They raising boys as a dad is not easy, but it's not as hard as having a little girl.
I
Having
mean,
having a
my
girl
daughter's
is
easier to raise than my boys, man. But
man, having a little girl is just different. It
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 is.
it, do, it
Yeah,
does something to you emotionally.
definitely.
It-
Definitely. That's a whole nother world that you're being introduced to that your
yeah.
mama and them didn't tell you about.
Yeah, and I think for me because she's the baby, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
and I feel the same way, and her brothers feel like they have to protect her too. So it's just that whole wave of we got to take care of baby girl. So it's just different, being a father of what I'm saying, a girl versus a father of boys. So but
Trust
hey,
having raised mine and her being 23 now, it's interesting, man. I look back on some of the stuff that I had to learn because I was a single dad. Yeah, man, it was interesting. And the things you have to experience and deal with, especially as a man who grew up, you're looking for, a wife or woman, you know what I'm saying, you want to be with, stuff like that. So you're engaging with girls all the time.
yeah,
And some you just pursuing them. So you don't think of certain other, things about, what your daughter may need and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's an eye opener when you have a daughter. Because now you got a whole nother ball game of stuff that you gotta figure out.
yeah.
It's been printed on my brain, bro. I'll never forget when I had to go get my daughter her pads. I'll never forget it.
It makes you look at yourself in another light too because you realize that now you're a dad of a young lady and one day she's going to be out there looking for a guy. So is she going to be you're her first example of what she sees in a man.
And
So
there's
are you up to par? Are you
a,
up to what, what I'm saying, she would be seeking? And if
there's,
not,
there's
it makes you
there's a
kind of
lot of
question
things that
things.
come with man. Listen, it bro, it gets crazy. How to
Yeah.
wipe? They like see see man. There's a whole bunch of stuff. See, because they ain't supposed to wipe from the back to the
This
front.
guy.
I'm just saying, bro. Like
Yeah, yeah, we know,
they
Benji.
go testify. They know they ain't supposed to wipe from the back to the front. They're supposed to wipe from the front to the back. See, I didn't know that. I'm a dude. We wipe.
Oh man.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. And luckily for me, I have two older sisters. So, that all that stuff was already common knowledge for
No
me. But
sisters, bro. I ain't got no
but
sisters.
yeah,
If it
so
wasn't for the females around me that I knew
yeah.
that was like the homies or whatnot. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, that's the thing about parenting, man, that we'll leave y'all with. Parenting is not easy, y'all. So if you are a parent, saying kudos to you, and we hope that the information that we give on the show actually is able to help you in some form, some shape or form. And for those of you who not parents or new parents, peruse our videos and you'll find some helpful tips that might be able to help you along the way, and things that we didn't know, things that we had to figure out. We're trying to give them to you so you don't have to do all the digging. We did all the digging for you.
Yes, sir. We
So to
hooked
get
you
that
up. Oh,
information.
and FYI, Celtics blew them out tonight.
Okay. Well, that's great.
I just want you to know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I,
Three
I
one.
I'm,
3-1.
avoided the sweep,
Yeah.
so
3-1.
I
So
get to talk trash to all of the Laker fans right
I don't know about that, but because if y'all go home, it don't mean nothing. But
now.
but either way, Benji,
He's like,
Banks,
it don't matter, man. Y'all still going home. I
facts.
mean,
Talk to the people before we get up out of here, man.
let me get up. Listen, man. Hey, man. Um, enjoy life, man. Find that new healthy space, man. That's that good space, and enjoy that, man. That's if you've tasted what the world has to offer, if you've had nice house, the nice car, if you've had all of those things open up to you at one point, you'll understand, man. At some point, some of that stuff don't even matter most of the time. But being in a nice, cool, healthy space where you can actually think well, think right, think straight, make solid moves, and do all of that, that's priceless, man. So if you ever find yourself in that space, don't take it for granted, man. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Facts. Let them know where to find you, my guy.
I mean, Instagram, BRB4701. Y'all know where to find me at. Come holler at me. Go on there. We got another soiree coming up. Um, we're gonna be doing our wine tasting again, promoting our lime margarita guave and some of our other wines. But that's gonna be the feature. We're gonna be promoting the new wine, margarita guave from my store. Link is always in the bio on my page. Y'all go check it out.
Facts. Well, y'all already know, man. I'll just leave y'all with this. Parenting is not easy. There's no guide to it. There's no rule book to it. You just kind of got to learn as you go. But I would encourage you all to do as much research and get around other parents that have done it and have done it successfully. They don't always have the right things that may be able to apply to your situation, but I'm pretty sure they'll give you some stuff that you can, pick and choose to apply to your parenting skills and, maybe develop your own parenting style, because we all need help. We all need assistance, and it's not for the faint of heart. So, don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, because it's not. But if you love your child, you'll do what's best for them. And, what I'm saying, they'll grow up to be productive, great citizens in this society. And that's what we hope for all of them. Y'all
Gotta
already
love,
know.
gotta
Y'all can
love the
catch.
kids.
Yep. Y'all already know y'all can catch me at Big Ken's Comedy on IG, Big Ken's Comedy on Twitter, Big Ken's Comedy on Facebook. Y'all can catch the Fiyah Session on all social media platforms. Just type in FIYAH and Session. on all social media platforms. Make sure you go to YouTube and like and subscribe and hit that little bell for the notifications so you can see every live video and all the new videos that we post. Make sure that you keep up with those, man, because we have some great information and some great guests coming to you. Next week is our final episode of the season, of this season. So, and it is going to cover mental health because this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we have 2 amazing guests. So tune in next week. You will be live. You'll be able to ask questions. You'll be able to join the conversation with these 2 young ladies, and you'll be able to get a wealth of information on how to be better in your mental health journey. So tune in, keep supporting us. We love y'all. We appreciate the love and support that we give. Y'all already know what it is. It's the Fiyah Session. Peace. This guy.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow us on all social media platforms. Just search Fiyah Session.